Hello and welcome to Saturday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and one of those puzzles that fills me with the fear. This puzzle on screen is called Shockwaves, and it's by Dyer, and I'm very, very daft because I'm attempting this at 4:37 p.m. on Saturday, which means that if I can't do it, I'm going to be a bit stuck as to what to do for a video before 8:30, because I am in no doubt that this puzzle is going to take me a long time if I can solve it at all. And the reason I know this is because we've had it requested a lot. A lot of people have tried this puzzle and not been able to solve it. And we had one recommendation today from somebody who has solved it, and they described it as very hard. It's got 5 stars out of 5 for difficulty on Logic Masters Germany. And Dyer is one of those people with a sort of superhuman intelligence. I mean, we come across them a lot on Cracking the Cryptic, thinking names like Totally Normal Cat, Fistamafel, Glipperal, just people of shockingly bright intelligence. And yeah, Jay's puzzles, they fill me, they don't give me the ick, but they give me the fear. And I will read the rules, which are surprisingly simple in a grid with this much, there's a startling geometry about it as well, and some very strange numbered cages. I'll read the rules in just a second. The first thing I need to do, though, is to say a huge thank you today. Our Kickstarter campaign is finished early this morning UK time, about 4 a.m. And we've obviously we are going to be making a book, and because we've hit so many of the stretch goals, we're going to be making an incredible book. So leave it with us. We will do you proud, I promise you. And yeah, just a huge thank you to the 6,500 odd people who supported us in the campaign. Incredible indeed. Now the next thing I want to do is to basically plead with you. Last night at 11 o'clock on the channel, we released a video. It's called something like Who Is This Man? Doesn't Look Like Simon, or something, or What's Happened to Simon? I urge you, if you have any love of any Cracking the Cryptic video you've ever seen, watch that video. I don't want to give too much away. Maybe it's fair to say that video doesn't involve Mark or me, but it will tickle you pink. I promise you, it will really entertain you. 17 minutes of great fun. I'll try and remember to put a link on the screen. You won't regret it. Next, patrons. We have 1 day left for our Patreon competition. This is the 12 Labours of Hercules Sudoku Hunt by Panthera, Aspartagus and Peter Venus, Piotr V. The feedback we've been getting has been absolutely stellar, and I have more names for you of people who have solved all 12 of the labours. So well done to Anders Sorensen, Kiraz Baysal, Don Stanley, Rob Lindsay, David Dixon, Jeffrey Byrne, Alan Bagg, Lapsed Memory, I've already read your name out. Rockrat Zero, Alexander Arakelian, Carolyn Offert, Volker Plasman, Joe and Jamie O'Connor, who are, I think, a husband and wife solving duo, and said that after, I think, over a decade of marriage, it's really nice that they found a new hobby to do together. I love stories like that. Michelle Tordois, I think, and Olivie Stenroos. I'm going to go for that. You all solved the puzzles correctly. Well done. And finally, a couple of birthdays. Happy birthday, Ethan. And your brother Ryan wrote to us and said that you would appreciate a birthday shout out. And Ethan, I know you're a twin. And Ryan said that you were the cool twin, because of the 2 twins, you were the one who took up his recommendation to watch Cracking the Cryptic videos. Ethan, you are the cool twin. Happy birthday. I hope you've had lots of cake. And also, Isaac, you've turned 18 today. And I know this because your mother Heidi wrote to us, and she wanted to wish you a very happy birthday from her and the whole of the Kate family. And I hope you enjoyed the short rendition of patterns in the ivy that I attempted in the introduction today. I say I attempted it in the introduction today. I will note that I haven't yet recorded that introduction, and if this video goes on for a very long time, it might not happen. I am taking a risk today. Anyway, we live life to the full. We don't want any FOMO on this channel. Right, here are the rules anyway of Shockwaves by Dyer. Normal Sudoku rules apply. 9 cells in the grid, 1 per row, column and 3x3 box are doublers and have a value equal to double their digit. Okay, each digit appears in exactly one doubler. Right. In each cage, the values of the cells sum to the clue in the top left corner of the cage. Oh, I see. So right, because the doublers create a doubled value, that's how we're getting to these numbers like 32, because we're going to have a digit in there that can be doubled, because normally 3 digits in a Sudoku, given they're different if they're in a cage. In fact, it goes on to say digits may not repeat in a cage, values may repeat after doubling. Right, but because you can normally only have 7, 8 and 9 in a cage, which had 24, this 32 clue looked very strange. There's another one there, look. There aren't actually very many weird cages though, which is slightly discombobulating. 3, I can see 3 weird cages. Right, anyway, do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video, allow yourself some time, unlike me, and now it's my turn. Let's get cracking. Now, right, what do we do here? Now, a 3 cage in 2 digits, that must be a 1 and a 2, mustn't it? There's no way of involving a doubler in that arrangement. Yeah, I mean, you can't put 2 1s in this cage, is the way to think about that. Even if you had a doubled 1, that 1 would be repeating, so that doesn't work. So there's a 1-2 pair in each of the 3 cages. Now, I was about to say there must be a 1 in an 8 cage. That's true, isn't it? Irrespective of the ability. No, it must be true, irrespective of the ability to double digits. Because if I put 2, 3 and 4 in here, they already add up to 9. For some reason, the doubling thing, which shouldn't make me doubt whether there's 1 in an 8 cage, does. This shows that this is why people like Dyer are, well, they seem to have almost a superhuman intelligence compared to little old me. Now, okay, I can see 1 and 2 are restricted in this cage, or this box up here. Because of these 1-2 pair, they're locked into those cells. Is that worth recording? It might be. Given there's so little we can record. And I can see the 3 mad cages where the weirdnesses are happening are those 3, which are all impossible on the face of it. So all of these cages have to have a doubler in them, don't they? They can only have 1 doubler in them. Aha, okay, maybe that's the point. I'm trying to decide. my cursor is hovering over the colours I could select for the double digits. Let's use grey. I'll use grey. Grey is going to mean that one of those 3 cells in this box has to contain a doubler. Now, I'm going to use a different colour then for digits that are undoubled, I think. I'm going to try and keep track of the undoubled digits. So we're going to take a sort of sandwich Sudoku approach to this. So in sandwich Sudoku, I tend to use green for digits that can't be 1 and 9. Now, we know there's no doubler in a 3 cage, don't we? So that's forced. Now, is there a doubler in an 8 cage? Probably not. 1 double 2. 1 double 2 and 3. Oh, okay. Oh, so right. So I can't rule out a doubler from an 8 cage. In fact, 2 double 1 and 4 works in there as well. Oh no! Right, 25 in 5 cells. I refuse to even look at that. That's so average. And the reason we know it's average is it's got 5 cells, and therefore the average cell in this cage is a 5. and therefore we can tell that it's basically a very, very prosaic cage. Right, let's look at, right, what are the options then for this 32 cage? How high does the double digit have to be? If we had a double 9, an 8 and a 7 in a cage, that would add up to 18 and 15, which is 33. So that's too many. Right, so we could get 32 by going double 9, 8 and 6. Oh yes, okay, right, and we can't repeat. You can't repeat doublers, so I can't like have a double 9 in here and a double 9 in here. So I've got to have different doublers. So double 8, oh I see, double 8, 7 and 9 works as well. But double 7 won't work, will it? Double 7 will require another 18, so that will require double 9. Right, so now we actually know the approximate makeup of these 32 cages. At least this is a start, because one of these must have a 9 doubled in it, along with an 8 and a 6. And one of them must have an 8 doubled along with a 9 and a 7. So that's really strange. So the options for these cells are 6, 7s, 8s and 9s, and I don't really know how to record the fact that one of them is a doubled 9 and one of them is a doubled 8. Is there a way of doing that? Other than maybe we just remember that, do we? I don't really see how else I can do it. I was thinking, can I use a corner mark? Could I sort of do that? But that's just going to confuse me because I don't know which way round it is. If I could do a corner mark here to say this one is double 9 and a corner mark here to say this one is double 8, that might seem sensible. But when I don't know which one has the double 8 and which one has the double 9 in it, I'm a bit reluctant to do that. Right, so the 31 cage down here must be double 7, mustn't it? If it's double 6, no, double 6 is too little because we'd be left with 2 digits that have to add up to 19. So I actually know, right, this one I am prepared to put a corner mark in. This one has a double 7 in it, which is 14, because it can't have double 8 or double 9. And the other 2 digits are 8 and 9 then. So two of these 3 cages have the same makeup in the sense they're made up of 7, 8 and 9, but the digit that's doubled in them is different, which is why we have different totals. So this is 7, 8 and 9. And okay, so now it's quite easy to remember, he says, and I will promptly forget this, but these 3 cages between them use the doubled digits 7, 8 and 9, which 7, 8 and 9, and they all of them have 8 and 9 in them. Aha. So I'm actually wondering where I'm wondering about 8s and 9s in the perimeter of the grid actually, because I can't. What does that mean? I've got to put 8s and 9s into each of these cages. So definitely, I feel like there's definite pressure around there. So it's sort of like an empty rectangle type logic, because 8 and 9 in this column have to live in those cells, and 8 and 9 in this row have to live in those cells. So you can't, for example, put 8 and 9 in these 2 cells in yellow, because if you do, you're wiping out too many blue cells from being 8 and 9. And you'd have to make this a Schrödinger cell and simultaneously 8 and 9. So, hang on. So does that mean... I feel like I've seen a pattern like this before. I don't know, something is weirdly ringing a bell with me. I'm getting deja vu, but it's a horrible deja vu where I don't quite have the memory crystallized, so I can't quite understand what it means, or can't quite use my memory to understand what it means. I hope you don't mind today as well, because I'm so late. I haven't had my afternoon cup of tea, so I have got it here. I'm sorry. I'm going to just have a sip. Okay, I've had my sip of tea now. Is this going to help me to crack the puzzle? 8 and 9. So if I have an... say I put 9 there. Yeah, I think it feels like there's something going on with these two cells. Like I want them these to be an 8-9 pair. If they were an 8-9 pair, that would put 7 in, because these would then see row 9, column 9, which then couldn't be an 8 or a 9. This would be a 7 in the corner, which would be the doubled cell as well. So how do I prove that that's an 8-9 pair? I can't put 8 and 9 in here, or 8 and 9 in here. So let's say I put 9 in there. That means that immediately pushes 9 here, doesn't it? The moment I put either 8 and 9 here, that digit must go down there. So if I put 9, let's just make that a 9. This becomes a 9 instantly. Now does that become an 8 now? No, oh no it doesn't, that could be an 8. Oh bobbins, right, so it's not that. Okay, sorry, don't rely on memory, Simon. Try and actually think, use your brain. I've got to put 8 and 9 into those cells. Or maybe it's maybe I've got to put one of them in those. Well, that must be true. There's no way, surely, I could have... Yes, I can't have enough 8s and 9s in this box. I can put one of them in the corner. So I could put a 9 there. But if I try and put... wherever I now put the 8 in this box... you can see it doesn't matter where I put it. I'm going to end up with an 8 in one of those cells, or both. If I put the 8 here, then I have to have 8s in both of those. And that would break the puzzle as well. That would break the puzzle, because then I couldn't put 8 down there at all. So there can't be an 8 in any of those cells. Which I think I sort of already know, don't I? Oh, do I? Well, I probably did already know that if I'd thought about it. So, actually, yeah. So there is. Even if I don't put an 8 or a 9 in the corner, and I can't put 8 or a 9 here. We've worked that out. You can't have 8 and 9 in that domino because it breaks blue. There would have to be an 8 or a 9 here. If I do put an 8 or a 9 in the corner, I still have to put the other digit in at least one of these two cells. So at least one of these two cells is an 8 or a 9, and therefore is going to have... Oh, it's... I've got it! Hang on, maybe I haven't got it though. Doublers. Can doublers... maybe I haven't got it. Hang on. Maybe I was thinking the 12 cage is broken. If this is an 8 or a 9. Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness me. Right, no, it's still broken, but for a different reason. That is incredibly complicated. Right, okay. I am now going to claim that that is an 8 or a 9, and this is not. And that's going to make... This is amazing. This is so weird. It's so weird. Jay, why do you torture me like this? This is so strange. Right, this digit. If we know that I've worked out one of those digits at least is an 8 or a 9. Now let's just say it's this one. Now the point here is I was thinking, I've broken the 12 gauge because I've got a 7, 8, 9 triple in the column, and 5, 7 is ruled out, 4, 8 is ruled out, and 3, 9 is ruled out. But then I thought, I could have a doubler here. And like you could have a double 3 and a 6, for example, that would work. But you can't, because remember, the digit that's doubled in the 31 gauge is a 7. And the 7 in that triple is down here in this column, and you can't have two doublers in a column. So that's not possible, is what I'm learning. So this square is not an 8 or a 9. That's probably the simpler way to sort of spot this, is to just think, 8s and 9s are difficult in row 1. Can I put an 8 or a 9 there? And then you get it. But I think there's something more weird going on in this sort of empty rectangle type analysis that I haven't quite got my head around. But that not being an 8 or a 9, now we can think about yellow in a bit more detail. That means that in yellow, the 8 and 9 are in these 3 cells. Now we know they can't go here, because then I couldn't put 8 and 9 in blue. So this digit is an 8 or a 9. And whatever I put as an 8 or a 9 in one of those cells still needs to appear in blue, and therefore goes in the corner. And if this is an 8 or a 9, I now have got a 7, 8, 9 triple in the bottom row, but this is better. This works, because the 7 is in this one, so that's not 7. This is a doubler, so that's not doubled. Okay, so that I should turn that green. One of these is a doubler, therefore these cells are not doubled, neither is that. So now there's a doubler up here, I think. But then how do I make 10 without using 7, 8 and 9? The only answer to that is 4 and 6. Where does 1 and 2 go in the bottom row in those cells? So now I've got these two digits are a 3, 5 pair. I want to say there's a doubler in one of those cells. That must be right. That must be right. Because these are not doubled because of this thing down here. There is a doubler in one of those, which is not in the corner. Oh, that's a doubler. This is weird. This is a 7. This is a 7 right there. This is a 7. Right. Okay. We're getting somewhere, slowly but surely, because, let me explain. 8 and 9 in this puzzle are doubled in those 6 cells. So that cell we can label green. Now that means in column 1, the doubled cell is actually in blue. So I'm going to turn blue into grey. And if it's in grey, all of those cells are now green. And now in row 1, where do you put the doubler? It has got to go in the corner. And if that's doubled, that's not doubled. And if therefore we know the double digit in the 31 gauge is a 7, so we put the 7 into the grid. We've got an 8-9 pair here. We've got a doubler here. None of those are doubled. None of these are doubled because of the doubler we've already got in the box. Okay. This is a 5-7 pair because it's not 4-8 and it's not 3-9 and it's not got doublers in it. So that's easy. It's the same again. This 1-2 pair here works magic in this column because you can't put 1 and 2 there. So that's a 1-2 pair. Those digits are 3, 4 and 6 by the power of sudoku. Those squares include, well, I was going to say they include 8 and 9, but I'm actually tempted to pencil mark them. They're 5, 7, 8 and 9. No, it's not a quadruple. Oh, well, this is great though, and I'm definitely going to reward myself with a sip of tea because that felt like progress. Right. So 1 and 2 in this box are in those cells, which is lovely because that means I've got a little arrangement of 1s here. These little triominoes that have to have 1s in them tell me something about 1s in column 6. None of those 6 cells can have 1 in them. So there is a 1 in one of those 3 cells, which, no, you can put 1 in the 25 cage, can't you? That's given the average size of this kit. We could just put a 1 and a 9 and we're back to the average, so that's not going to be too difficult. If you put a 2 in the 8 cage, which it could well have in it, then there would be a 2 down here as well. And then there would have to be a 1 or a 2 in the 25 cage. But not both. Well, not both, at least in this box. One of those digits would have to be a very low digit. Right, okay, now I'm starting to get flummoxed again. Same geometry. Oh, yeah, okay, right. Look, there's more geometry here. 1 and 2 have to be in those cells in box 4. So again, we've got 1s aligning in these triominoes, which means 1 in row 6 is in one of those 3 cells. So that, right, that's interesting. That's interesting because now, if I put 1 in either of those cells, I knock it out of these cells because you can't repeat digits in cages. So that means there is a 1 in one of those 2 cells, which means that's not a 1. Oh, which we already knew. Bobbins. So there's a 1 in one of these 2, and whichever one has the 1 in it, it forces a 1 into a sort of another domino. Okay. What on earth do we do now? Do I know what that doubler is over here? I know it's not 7, 8 or 9. And it's not 1 or 2 by the power of Sudoku. So the digit that's doubled in one of these 2 cells is an average digit. It's a 3, 4, 5 or 6. Now, if it was a 6, wouldn't that be the same? Oh no, because there isn't necessarily a 6 in there. I was wondering if I could force 2 6s into doublers, but that would be true if there was a 6 in this cage, but there doesn't need to be. This could be a 7, 8, 9 cage with was it an 8 doubled in that triple? I can't remember, but there doesn't have to be a 6 in there. Although if there was a 6 in there and a 6 in there. No, okay, sorry, this is, I'm starting to lose track of anything clever here. Come on, what is it that I have to think about now? Oh, that's a 7, so those aren't doubled, which means there's a doubled in one of these. Okay, so the double digit in here is also not 1 or 2 or 5 or 7 or 8 or 9, because we know 8 and 9 are doubled in those. So the double digit here is either 3, 4, 6, 3, 4 or 6, the same as that one. Right, so okay, so the same digit. What was that one? Oh, that was 3, 4, 5 or 6. So we've got 3, 4, 6 doubled here. 3, 4, 5 or 6 doubled here. 3, 4, 6 doubled here. What's doubled down here though? Because that can't be 1, 2, 3, 5 or... Oh, this one's even more restricted. Because this can't be any of those digits which we've got in the box already, or 7, 8 or 9, because 7, 8, 9 in some order for these. So the double digit down here is either 4 or 6. So doesn't that mean there's a doubled 5 in there? I might be wrong about this. Let's just check the doubles. That's 3, 4 or 6 doubled. This one I thought was the same as that one. I think that was a 3, 4 or 6 doubled. It can't be a 1 or a 2 by Sudoku. It can't be a 5 or 7. That is a 3, 4, 6 doubled. This one was a 4 or a 6 doubled. Right. So these 3 here, the doubled digit in each of those boxes is a 3, 4 and a 6. We don't know where they go. Well, we do in that one, but we don't know where they go in this one. We don't know where they go in this one, but they are the digits 3, 4 and 6. So in this box, where the options for the doubler were 3, 4, 5 and 6, one of those digits is a 5, and it's doubled. And that does give me a little 1, 2, 5 triple here by the power of Sudoku, look. It also marries up with the 5 there, and there must be a 5 in one of 3 places in row 1. So now in this box, look, we can say 3 and 4 are definitely in these digits, which means these cells are from, they're not 1, 2, 3, 4 or 8 or 9, so they are from 5, 6 and 7, which... Oh no, I keep doing this. I keep making the same error. I was about to say that whatever's in here is repeating in there and therefore goes in the corner, and to claim this was a 6, I prefer it to be a 3 from a melodic point of view, but that's a different story. But no, it's not true, is it? Imagine that was a 5, 6 pair, but there was a 7 in there, then of course that wouldn't by Sudoku push this. So I know. Oh, but look, right, no, it's easier. It's easier. If that's a 5, 6 or a 7, that is a quintuple on 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So that is not able to be 6. This is a 3 or a 4. Oh. Sorry, I thought that was going to be magical, but it's not at all, is it? Right, so how do I do this then? How do we do the puzzle? We have got to say that these boxes have doubled 1 and doubled 2 in them, because every other doubler has been used up. So they have doubled 1 and doubled 2 in them. So how do we work that out then? And the answer is I have not got a Scooby-Doo. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Right, okay, let me think. So if we know the 8 cage has a 1 in it, so if that has a doubled 1 in it, there will be a doubled 2 in this cage, which would make that a 1, because that cell is not allowed to be doubled. Oh, got something. There's a 1-2 pair in row 7, so those cells can't be doubled. But this is lovely again. It's a brilliant puzzle. It's monstrously difficult, but it is brilliant. Look, those 3 cells, by Sudoku of all things, cannot be a 1 and a 2, but I know that the doubler in this box is a 1 or a 2, so those cells are green, and therefore there's a doubler in one of these, which means there's no doubler in these, which means the double digit down here, which I can't remember what it was a 3, 4, no, it's not a 3, it's a 4 or a 6, Sorry, I was just trying to do my usual mistrickery there. So there's a 4 or a 6 in one of those which is doubled. And there's a 1 or a 2 down here which is doubled. So that makes a virtual 1-2 pair in this box between whichever one of these is doubled and this cell. So we already know these can't be 1 and 2. So, do I want to put a doubled 1 or 2 in this 25 cage or not? What do you think? If I've got a doubled 1 or a doubled 2 in these cells, then I'm locking... Oh, okay, it can't... That's interesting. Right. If the doubler is in this domino, it can't be a doubled 1. Because I know one of those 3 cells is a 1 in box 2. So if one of these 2 cells was a 1... Oh, we can already see. In fact, look. The way to get that is not to redo the logic. It's to trust the pencil marks I've already got. I've got 1s in those cells. So there's no way, if this is a doubler here, that it's able to be a doubled 1. So it would be a doubled 2. And that would mean that 8 cage would contain a doubled 1. Double 2. There would be no 2 in my 8 cage. Although there would be a... That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Right. So bear with me here. Imagine one of those cells was a doubled 2. Well, you can see by Sudoku, therefore, because there's a 2 in one of those cells and a 2 in one of those cells, the 2 in box 5 is in one of those 3 cells, i.e. it's not in the 8 cage, which contains a doubled 1, because there's a doubled 2 down here. So the only place for doubled 1 in the puzzle is in this box, and the 1 is in the 8 cage. So there's a doubled 1 in here, which means the other 2 digits have to sum up to 6 without using 2. Well, how do we do that? We've only got 3s and 4s available, and they add up to 7. You can't put 2 3s in this cage. So those 2 cells are not capable of being doublers, which means they're green, which means this is a doubler. I'm probably going to conclude it's a 2 in just a moment, but let's put a 1 in here just to check it for a second. This is now not doubled. So this is doubled, which is in a cage that has an 8 or a 9 being doubled in it. So then now the doubler in this box is over here. And we know for sure, do we? Do I now know the nature of this digit? So if that's a... I think it's going to be a 2, because I want to double the 1 in there. If there's a double 2, does the 2... Or could that be a double 2? I don't know. Hang on, let me just think about this. If this is a doubled 1, then one of these cells is a doubled 2. If I put double 2 in the 8 cage, it would be double 2, a 1, which is 5, and a 3. So this would be a 1, 2, 3 triple. Or that could be a double 2. If that's a 2, what's that doing? That's putting a 2 there. Oh dear, I don't know. My gut reaction was that this wasn't going to be able to be a doubled 1, but now I'm not so sure. I've got a 1-2 pair here now. Well, I don't think that's useful. I already know most things about 1s and 2s. So, how do I do this then? How do I do this? I've got to argue about 5. I'm going to argue about 5 in this row. Look, I've got 5s there and 5s there. So there's a 5 in one of those cells. So there's no 5 in my 8 cage anymore. So you can't, right, so the digits, these digits are 1, 2, 3 and 4 then, because it is possible still, well it was possible that this would have been a 1, 2, 5 cage with, oh no it's not, actually it couldn't have been a 1, 2, 5 cage with no doubler, because I know the double digit in this box is a 1 or a 2. So had I thought about that, I would have been able to say that there was not a 5 in this cage. But I wouldn't have known there was no 5 in there, so I still made tiny progress by getting the 5 in one of those 3 cells. Oh look, so if there's a 4 in there, there's a 4 up there by Sudoku. I see, so the way this cage doesn't have a doubler in it is if it's 1, 3, 4 and this is a double 2. 1, 3, 4 here, doubled 2 here, doubled 1 here, doubled 2, doubled 1. Maybe we've got to colour our 1s and 2s to see. I'm just wondering if I can somehow prove that this cell is seeing itself there. Hang on, let's just have a quick think about that. Actually, I'm going to stripe all those. Do I need my greens anymore? Do I need green? I don't need green anymore. I don't need green anymore. I'm going to get rid of my green because I think now we've basically locked everything in very approximately in each box, haven't we? And what I want to do is to expand my colouring. So I'm going to colour this one with a purple flash and this one with a blue flash. So that's purple, that's blue, that's purple. Now what's that doing to this digit? If that's a doubler, that would have to be doubled 2, which makes this doubled 1. Ow, bobbins, that's right. So that would be a 1 and that would work. I was hoping I was going to be able to rule that out, but it doesn't rule out. In fact, I could have probably predicted that because it was only Sudoku I was doing, even though these doublers keep making me question everything. Right, so what is it then that I'm meant to be thinking about? It has got to be... I don't know. Sorry if you're getting cross with me here for missing obvious stuff. That would be entirely understandable. I am not spotting what I need to be spotting, am I? Ah! What on earth am I meant to be seeing here? What else could it be? Is it possible? Can I limit the doubler in this box? I know that one I think is a 4 or a 6. That's a 3, 4 or 6. That's definitely a doubled 5. This is in the 3, 4, 6 land, isn't it? But it could still be here. It'd be useful if it would be really useful if it was there, because that would then be a doubler. And that would be a doubler, so that would be a 1 or a 2 doubled. And whatever that was would then go in those 2 cells by the power of Sudoku, and in that cell indeed. So in fact, if that's a 1 or a 2, the world fills in basically. So, what am I meant to do? Come on, Simon. Is it some sort of... Can I extend my 1-2's colouring? Maybe that's the idea. I can. Yes, okay, that's got to be purple. That's got to be blue. That's going to die a death there, though, isn't it? I need to be able to expand this a bit further. Or I need to be able to do something useful. Come on, Simon. What on earth am I meant to be doing here? That is the question. Can we argue about... I've just got nothing here. I'm just not seeing anything at all. It's probably Sudoku, isn't it? When I get this badly stuck, it's normally Sudoku that can help me. So I need to think about Sudoku. I'm assuming I could have another cup of tea or another drink of my tea. That will help me. Or even if I could limit where the doubler was in this box. Sorry, and I realise I'm corpsing now and it's because I'm just not having any sensible ideas at all. I know there's a 1 and a 2 down here. That's progress I've not really used, isn't it? So how do I use that to my advantage? What is it that's meant to be telling me? I wish I knew, but I don't. I've almost got a quadruple there, or a quintuple. If I can just extend that very slightly, that would be very cool indeed. How do we do that? It's almost, even that digit is almost interesting in that context. Do I know what these digits are? These digits are 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s. No, not 5s actually. Okay, these digits are 3s, 4s, 6s and 7s. So again, even that, look, there's something going on in this row. I don't know what it is, but there is something going on in this row. 8s and 9s are very difficult in this row. So 8s and 9s have to be in 2 of those 3 cells, which might be cool. Can we rule that one out from being 8 or 9? I can rule, there must be an 8 or a 9 in one of those cells. So if that is an 8 or a 9, it's going to have to be that one. But is that useful? I don't know. I'm not sure. Oh dear, 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 dear. Can I do anything clever with anything around this subject? Come on, Simon, use your brain. What is it that I'm meant to be doing here? I've got to argue that is it something to do with... Oh, this is bad. This is one of these moments where I don't know if I'm ever actually going to spot how to get out of this fog that my brain is in, because I just feel like I've got nothing here. I can pencil mark those digits. Why don't I do that? That's so poor, isn't it? That's all I've got for you. 3s, 4s, 5s and 6s down here. Is that creating any sort of pressure anywhere? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it is. Can I... Is it the 25k? I hate this 25k. I just don't want to look at it. It could be something to do with... I don't know. I've got nothing here. Really have got nothing. Maybe I've got to colour my 8s and 9s. Can I do that round the perimeter somehow? I'm going to try that in the absence of anything else. So let's go yellow and green in the perimeter. So that's got to be green. That's now yellow. So there is a yellow digit in one of those cells. What I want to be able to do, I think, is to somehow extend the 8s and 9s colouring into these boxes. That would be really interesting. How do I do that? That's a good idea. The problem is these perimeter 8s, and I know that I know there's an 8 or a 9 in one of those cells. Because because of the logic we did at the very start. In fact, we can see that just by looking at... I know there's a yellow in one of those. But I need to know whether that is green or yellow. Wow. I mean, what is it I'm meant to be spotting here? Somebody tell me, please. 7, I could do some sudoku up there. That's 5, 8, 9. There's a 7 in one of those two cells now. That might be interesting. Reveal some secrets to me. Alright, don't. You rotten puzzle. Can I... 7 is in one of those cells. So, but I don't know whether this has got 7 in it or not. I don't know whether that has got 7 in it or not. So that's not helpful, is it? What about this row? 8s and 9s in this row. Oh, if that was an 8 or a 9, look what that would do. I would have a 5, 8, 9 triple there, which would limit me to 3s, 4. It wouldn't do that much, actually. It wouldn't do that much. Okay. Bar humbug. Bobbins, bobbins, bobbins. Instead of that, we could argue that. So maybe I've got to... Maybe I've done the wrong colouring with my 8s and 9s then. Maybe I've got to start in the middle with my colouring of 8s and 9s and try and propagate it that way. Okay, I'll try that instead. So we'll go get rid of the greens and the yellows, and we'll award this the moniker of greenliness, which means one of those is a yellow 8 or 9. Now what does that do? The problem is I can't see how this is going to go much further at all, because it depends on the colouring of the 8s and 9s in those cells. Like, I mean, if yellow is in that domino, that becomes yellow. There'd be a yellow up here. Can I do anything with this? This is green, so that rules green. If there's a green down here, there'd be a green up here, and we'd have green over here, and that would be a bit interesting. Okay, all right. I'm not seeing how to do that. So my colouring of 8s and 9s has been probably the worst colouring in the world. There's some greens and yellows there. Yeah, that is appalling. You're right. If you're sniggering behind your hands at me for being so appalling, you'd be quite entitled to. What is it then? I know one of those digits is a 4 or a 6, don't I? Can I use that somehow? One of these digits is a 4 or 6, so if it's going to pair up a little bit with those digits. What other digits have I got to include in here? A 7. I don't know. I know more about 7 than I do about... I've got 1 7 after nearly an hour. I've managed to get 1 7 in the grid. That is not impressive, is it? Okay. Is it... I mean, is it this 25 cage? Is that really what I'm meant to look at? I know it's got a doubler in it now. It's got a doubled 1 or a doubled 2. Does it have to have high digits in it then? Could we fill it without 8s and 9s? If we go 7, 6, 5, 4, 7, 6, 5, 4 is 22. And then we need 3 more. So, okay, if that was 7, 6, 5, 4, you'd have to have, that would have to be a doubled 2. It couldn't be a doubled 1. So if that's a doubled 1, that was the situation where this was a doubled 2, or one of those was a doubled 2. I'm not sure. There'll be a double 2. Can we put the double 2 in the 8 cage? Yeah, we can. Double 2, 1, 3. I've already thought about that. Right, so if this is doubled 1, that's a 1. Doubled 1 here. Now there's an 8 or a 9 in here. Or both. What's that doing to the price of bread? Absolutely diddly squat, I think. Yellow. So if it was a yellow, it would be there. That would be yellow. Don't know. Sorry, not spotting how to do that at all. Okay, let's try something else. Can we, instead of this, can we argue about... Wow, I don't know. I've got nothing here. I'm really struggling to see how to unwrap the middle of this grid and make it clear what is going on. Is it possible that I don't know, maybe where there are some special cells that 4 or 6 here. This is awful. You must be enjoying this if you enjoy Schadenfreude. I'm afraid I'm close to giving up. I can't see what to do. As so often in terms of the fear, you know, these great minds, they just get you. They just get you. Let's come back to this 8 cage then. It feels like that's got to have the doubler in it, doesn't it? But I know it doesn't have to, but it feels like it does. And the doubler in here would be a 1 or a 2 being doubled. So if you put a doubled... If you put a double digit in the 8 cage, whether it's a 1 or a 2, it has to have the other in it, doesn't it? Yes, because the only way I can not have both a 1 and a 2 in the 8 cage is if it's a 1, 3, 4 cage with every cell of the 1, 3, 4 not being doubled, because I can't put 5 in it. Right, so... Oh, is that broken then? If I have to put 1... Can I actually put 1 and 2 in there with all of these 1s and 2s floating around? If that had 1 and 2 in it, then the doubler would be in it. And something feels wrong about that. Oh, that's okay. Okay, I've got something. That can't be the doubler. Yeah, that's right. That can't be the doubler, because if that's the doubler, where do I put this digit? I looked at this a while ago. Where does this digit now go in box 2 and box 4? And the answer is in those cells. But the problem is that if this is the doubler, there has to be a 2 in this cage. And the 2 is going to be in one of those cells. And because of this, if this was the 2, I need this digit to be a 2 as well as being a 1. And if this is the 2, I need that digit to be a 2 as well as being a 1. Good grief, that's weird. That is weird. So this digit cannot be a doubler. And that's interesting. That is interesting, because now that's the doubler. Because if you look at the structure of doublers in rows 5 and 6, I've got this and this. So I can't have more doublers in these two rows. So those are not doublers. That is a doubler. And we know that the nature of this doubler is that doubler. So that is 3, 4, 6. And that is, well, nearly. That's nearly amazing, but not quite amazing. Because it's creating some sort of weird sextuple. Well, okay, no, a septuplet along there. I've not put the question that this begs is, where do 8 and 9 go in this row? And they've now got to go in those cells. Oh, and that's going to get me colouring them. Oh, ouch. Wow, okay, so now yellow is not that cell, so that's got to be green, which means that is yellow. I've got a 5, 8, 9. I've got my 5, 8, 9 triple in this column, so those are not 5. Oh, I'm delighted about this. At least I've got progress again. So green is now in one of those cells. Green is in one of these cells. I'm actually going to put that in like that. I hope you don't mind. Yellow is in one of those cells. So if yellow was here, that would be yellow. And that would be doubled, wouldn't it? So that would push the doubler down in box 5. And that would be a doubled 2. That would be a doubled 1. What's that doing to the... I can't quite visualize this, but I'm wondering about the 25 cage if I do that, because I've got to put... Actually, that... hang on. Have I got trouble with this 25 cage now? 25 cage, are you being naughty? Are you being naughty? I can't put yellow in it at all now. Yellow simply doesn't live in it. It has no space for yellow. So if this has a high digit, didn't it have? No, it didn't. It didn't have to have a high digit in it if it had a doubled 2 in it. If it had a doubled 1 in it, it had to have a high digit in it. And that high digit now would have to be green. And that would not be there. Right, so can you put green in there? That's the question. If you put green in there, that would be green. And that would be yellow, because there would have to be yellow here and yellow here. So this would be green, this would be yellow. There's green in here. Hang on, what's going on now? But that's the doubler. I'm going mad. I think I've made a mistake. The doubler here is an 8 or is a green. And I think I just proved that the doubler there was a green. This is weird. Right, let's try this again. Well, in this box, the doubler is a green. This is a strange sentence. That in this box, the doubler is a green. If I do put an 8 or a 9 in the 25 cage, it has to be a green. It has to, because yellow doesn't go in it. So that green would have to be there in one of those two cells. Ah, no, it might be okay, actually. It might be okay. Because, yes, that would make this green, but that doesn't have to be the doubler. Because the doubler could still be here and be yellow, which is what it needs to be because we've already had the green doubler. Right, so you get a yellow doubler here, which makes that a doubler. There's something there's something nagging me about this. There is something nagging me about this. How about if I've got it. I've got it. Right. What if, yes, if this is the doubler, we know it's a doubled 2. But that makes this a doubled 1. And that requires me, this is beautiful. It's beautiful and mad. It's so beautiful. Right, if this is a doubler, then this is a doubler. That's all you've got to remember. If this is a doubler, by geometry, these aren't doublers anymore. So that's a doubler. So these two are sort of a linked pair of doublers. If one of them is a doubler, the other is the doubler. Now, we know if this is a doubler, it's a doubled 2. So this is a doubled 1 in that situation, which means I have to put a high digit in my 25 gauge because 7, 6, 5 and 4 only add up to 22. Plus double 1 is 24. That is not equal to 25, which is deeply suspicious. Now, Jay, deeply suspicious, the choice of 25 rather than 24 for this cage. Well, the problem here is that the only high digit that I can put in here is green, and it's in one of those. And that propagates green to exactly that cell, which is doubled, and that repeats the doubler. Those two digits are the same. I mean, I don't know if that's how you're meant to do this, but that is, I mean, to me it's beautiful and absolutely crazy. It's completely insane. So, having found that, I am delighted to tell you that that cell is undoubled. Now that means that's a doubler. Which means it is a 1 or a 2, and it's doubled. So now, now we know there's a 1 and a 2 in my 8 cage because I've worked that out before. That's now not a doubler. So there's a doubler down here, which is a yellow. Because it can't be green because green's already been doubled in this one. So one of those is now yellow. I mean, the green could be down here as well. I don't know, but yellow is now there by the power of Sudoku, which means that is an 8-9 pair, which is very peculiar. Wow. Okay. Which means that... Right, so now these squares, for what this is worth, are from 4 and 6, which is the doubler down here, and whichever of 8 or 9 is going to end up here, and one of them has to, because only one of them can live in this space. So this is 4, 6, 8, 9. So now I'm asking myself where 7 goes in this row, and the answer is in one of those two cells. That's not a 1, of course. I don't know why that 1 pencil mark has been left there. I can get rid of the 1s here. This is a doubler. Hang about. Here's the point. Here's the point that's related to the earlier point. This square now, I wondered whether this could be a doubler. I'm now going to wonder whether it can simply be a 1 or a 2, and it can't be, because now I've got a 1 and a 2 in my 8 cage. I've got to be very careful about this cell, because if that, again, if this is a 2, let's just make it a 2 for the sake of argument. You've got to go 2 in those two cells by Sudoku, but this is now 1, and that cell cannot be a 1 and a 2 simultaneously. So this square is now 3 or 4. It can't be 1 or 2. And does that mean that's, well, it does. That means, because we know that this box contains a 1 and a 2, I've now managed to get a 1-2 pair in it, which is rather wonderful, especially if I could colour them by reference to purplification and bluification. I've got another digit. My second digit after an hour and 10 minutes. I'm worried about the time now. This is going to be such a long video if I manage to solve this puzzle. That's a 1, 2, 5 triple. So I've now got a 7 here and a 5 here. So that's not a 5. That's not a 7. I've got, what does that do? 5 is, it's not doing very much. Do I know which of these is green? Do I know whether or not I've got... Oh, hang about, we've got some 1, 2-age going on. I've got a 1 and a 2 here, and a 1 and a 2 there. So in this row... Oh, this is... Right, I've got a 1, 2 pair. Where do 1 and 2 go in box 6? Not there, because there's a 1, 2 pair in the column. I've just seen I can actually propagate my colouring. I'm definitely doing that. I don't know how I didn't do that before. Right, that's blue, because we know that this is a 1 or a 2 now, because of the 1s and 2s going over here. So this... Right, so now my 25 cage has got 2 low digits in it. So does that mean it's got to have green in it again? Surely, said I, surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind and nothing more. Open here I flung a shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter in there stepped a stately raven. Now, concentrate. 1, 2 pair. So these add up to... No, they don't add up to 3 because one of them's doubled. Okay, can I... Alright, let's think about it the simpler way. Can I stop there being a high digit in this cage? To stop there being a high digit, that would be a double 2. Double 2 and 1 is 5. So these digits would add up to 20. And I'm trying not to use 8 and 9. I can't do it. You can't do it. Because the maximum I could make this digit is a 7. The maximum I can make that digit is a 6. Which means to stop me using an 8 and a 9, I'd have to make that a 7 again. And it can't be another 7 in the box. So, in fact, it's imperative that there is a high digit in here, whatever I do. And we know if it's a high digit, it's not allowed to be yellow. So it's got to be green, and it can't go there. So that digit is green, and it is 8 or 9. And that means that is green, and that is 8 or 9. And I'm definitely going to shade it in. Now, does that do anything useful? Surely it does. Please. Please, 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 please do something useful. Hang on. I'm trying to spot something. It is not going well. Oh, no, please. This is yellow. Alright, here's something marginally interesting that I think is doing something in this column. One of those digits is not an 8 or a 9, it is a 6 or a 7. Now, that digit that in here that's a 6 or a 7, where does that digit go in this box? Well, it's got to go there. And that is interesting, look, because that digit's the 6 or the 7 that lives in here. That has created a quadruple in this column, which means that little digit is not able to be 7 anymore. So this digit is a 7, apparently. That's mental. That's a 7 over there. This box needs 3s and 5s in it. Don't know if I can do something with that. Let me stare at it for a moment. Please. What about this 5, 8, 9 triple here? What's that square? Is that just a naked single? Oh, no, it's not. It's a 3, 4 or a... Oh, I see. No, this is a 3, 4, 6 triple. Oh, no, it's not. It's just very much not. Okay, okay, okay. How could that be a 3? Didn't I say those had to add up to a minimum of 20? That can't be a 3, because that would need another 8 or a 9. That doesn't work. So even if this is double 2... Yeah, that's right. That's the maximum I can make these add up to. These have to add up to at least 20. That cannot be a 3, because that would need an 8, 9 pair. So this is 5. That's not 5. Does that have to be 6? It does. It just does have to be 6. Ah, I've got my 8s and 9s sorted out. Here we go. Here we go. So this is a 3 by the power of magic. Pure magic. This is a 6 because I need these 3 to add up to 20. There's no doublers involved. Those are not 6. This is a 3, 4 pair. This is a 5. Those are not 5. I think I already knew that if I'd thought about it cleverly, which I failed to do. That is a 6 by the power of magic. This is a 3, 4 pair. That is a 9 in order to make the math... Oh, hang on. Hang on a minute. Well, no, that is a 9, isn't it? Because in fact, this is a 2 is what I'm now learning. Everything is getting disambiguated by this cage. This cage is magical. Because what I hadn't thought of until now is that I was trying to get these to add up to at least 20. The most I can make them add up to is 20. And in order to make the cage add up, that has to be double 2. That has to be 1. And that has to be a 9. And now that's a 9. That's a 9. That's a 9. This is an 8. This is an 8. And surely that's going to do some magic, isn't it? This is the doubled 9. Yes, it is. If this is the doubled 9, then I know what this cage has in it. I think it was 6 and 8. So that means that's not got 7 in it, which means this is a 7-8 pair along with this 9. And if that's a 7-8 pair, that's a 7. Good grief. Good grief. Blue is 1. So purple is 2 wherever we find it. 1 and 2. Do I know what that is? Yes, I do, because it's the opposite of this. That's 1. That's 1. That's 2. So that's 2. That's 1. This is a 1-5 pair. That's a 3-4 pair, so that's a 6. This up here is a 5-7 pair. So this now is a 3-4 pair. Oh, I'm getting the hope now. It's all very well when you get the fear, but when you get the hope, it's almost worse. This is 7 by Sudoku. Because of the sort of 4 7s and an X-wing looking up at this box. In fact, have I done most of the 7s? Oh, nearly. Ah, don't see how to quite do the last ones. Still haven't actually, looking at this now, resolved the positions of all the doublers, which is slightly disconcerting. Oh, 6 is knocked out here. That's going to do some work. So 6 is knocked out here. The doubler here is a 4. And if the doubler here is a 4, that cell is a 3. And that cell's a 4. And that must be a 6 in the corner. So that's a 3. That's now a 4. Which I've just realised I could have got from maths, but I failed. This is a 4-5 pair at the top, which is cool. Let's get rid of the 5. These squares are now 3, 8 and 9. Those squares are something. 2 and 3. 4 comes out of here. 6 goes in there. 4 goes in at the top. 5 goes in here. 5 goes in here by the power of Sudoku. This is a 3-6 pair. Yes, I was just thinking surely it was going to let me solve it. So this is a 3-4 pair. And that being a 4-8-9 means this is a 3, this is a 4. Come on, Simon. Please let me solve this naughty puzzle. Those are not 9s I'm seeing. Okay. I still haven't... How can I not have unwound all of the nonsense yet? How does the nonsense still survive at this juncture? None of those is a 2. None of these is a 1. What? What is going on now? Oh, I see. Okay, in this row, I've not put 6s or 7s in. Okay, so that's a 6-7 pair. That's not actually resolved, though, I don't think. How? What's going on? Am I going mad? Oh, I am going mad, yeah. Look, that's a doubler, so that's not a doubler. And that's presumably going to mean that that is, what was it we had in this box? Was it 5? 4, 3. Sorry, 6, 3, 4. That's 5. So that is a 5 by the power of Sudoku. That's now become a 9. Okay, so now I get a 7-8 pair here. Which, oh I see, and that's 7, that becoming a 7 does my 7-8 pair, and does my 8 my 6. And these squares are from 1, 2, 3 and 4. That's not 2. And oh, not 3 either. There seems to have to be a 3 up here. So these squares are now... It's still unresolved. I can't quite see how to do row 3. What about this row? This row is made up of 2s, 3s, 4s and 6s. 2s, 3s, 4s and 6s, and that's not able to be 2. How is this still sitting? Oh, goodness me, what is going on? Oh, blow, I don't know what to do. I've still got an unresolved pattern of doublers. How does this get... Oh, no, I haven't looked. I've got a 9 here. So that becomes 4 or 8. That becomes 3 or 8. No. Ah, no. Ah, no. No, 7's still got 2 positions. Is this somehow resolved? What's the doubler in here? Oh, good grief, right, it is resolved. How do you preserve logic like this at the end of a puzzle like this? I mean, this is one of the hardest puzzles we've ever solved on the channel, and yet still it's hard. Right, the doubler here is a 4, the doubler here is an 8, and they mustn't be in the same column. So what would happen if this was an 8? Well, then this would be an 8, doubled, but this would be a 4, doubled, and you get 2 doublers in the same column. So that is a 4 and doubled, which means that must be doubled in this box, and that becomes 8. So those are undoubled at last, and hopefully, well, that becomes a 7 then. That gives me the 7 and the 6, which I'm hoping is going to resolve some things for us. Although maybe it doesn't. Okay, that cell sees 4 and 8, so that has become 9, which means that's 9, which is doing some stuff. That's done some stuff, that's done some stuff, that's got to be the 8 in the top row, so that becomes a 3. 3 and 5 go in, 5 and 1 go in, 4 goes in. Is that 6? I think you are. That's 4, that's 3, that's 3, that's 2, that's got to be 2, and that is a 1. And that is an absolute beast. And quite brilliant puzzle solved. 1 hour, 24 minutes of total and utter madness. I was properly stuck in the middle of that solve. Properly stuck. I couldn't see how to do it at all. And, well, I mean, how do you get unstuck? I got unstuck. I think Well, it was something to do with 8s and 9s, but it was very complicated. It was to do with 8s, 9s, and trying to work out where the doubler was in this box. And something to do with... Well, somehow I managed to prove that if you had a doubler here, you got 2 of the same doublers in the grid. And, I mean, it's a stunning logical construction, and actually this totally bears out what I said at the start of the solve, which is that what you're dealing with these incredible top tier madly brilliant setters, they are like Lex Luthors of the Sudoku world, because they just understand things at a level which is quite beyond the normal human mind. And we get it's a privilege to grapple with things like this, but it is so daunting as well, because not just imagine. I mean, it's hard enough, trust me, it's hard enough to solve it. Imagine constructing it. Imagine the planetary brain you have to construct this nonsense. It is totally and utterly ludicrous. And yet these people do it. So Dyer, for the umpteenth time, take a bow. I'm sorry to have taken so much of your Saturday evening. Loved your puzzle. I did love it. I mean, it is just genius, frankly. Genius. Another masterpiece. Utterly terrifying. And now I must rush and edit this video and add the instructions. I've still got to record patterns in the ivy. And see you later on for another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.